Hey everyone, happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Out in the garden, and things have definitely changed a lot. We've had a couple hard frosts and it's killed a lot of what's in the garden. So I thought I'd give you guys a quick tour of what's going on and how everything's looking. As you can see in the greenhouse here, everything is still really lush, really nice. The daytime temperatures have been getting down, so not every day does it get warm in the greenhouse. Like today, you know, it's a couple degrees warmer than outside. But yeah, it's, you know, the end is near for the greenhouse as well as the garden. I'm hoping still a couple more weeks. I want to get one more big pick off the tomatoes. I'd like to get one more kind of round of ripened tomatoes, and then I'll probably think about cleaning it up a little bit before, you know, before the weather gets so bad that it's going to be hard to be out here with the kids. As we come out of the greenhouse here, this is my squash patch right here, and it has definitely got frosted pretty good. Most of the squash are dead. They got hit surprisingly hard by the frost. The squash isn't always one of the ones that goes early. So at this point, the vines, they're not going to do anything. So I need to get in here and I need to strip all my squash off and get them into storage. I actually have other things growing underneath all the squash vines. I've been throwing walking onions in here constantly, and I'll probably also grab a bunch of my red Russian kale seeds that I gathered earlier in the season, and I will be adding those into that bed so that kind of as things warm up into the spring, they'll all grow really quickly. One of my main fall beds that I planted up is this bed here, and I was protecting this one as I did my frost protection trick. The chard in here, it's looking really nice. It actually needed some cooler weather to finally do something, and the kale's doing really well too. The beets and the carrots in here are like nice baby size, perfect for harvesting, so they can come out at any time, but we are still eating the carrots and the beets and the rest of the garden, so it's not really a priority. On this side, this bed here, this is where my tomatoes were that I ripped out, and I'm going to be planting garlic in here. That's actually on the list for today or tomorrow, because I have to get it in, because it does need to kind of root in, get a little bit sprouted before the really cold temperature. That's kind of the trick. So, I mean, normally this, like next week would be when I'd ideally plant it, but the weather's been really weird this year. We don't normally get a hard frost like what we got as early as we did. So, you know, I want to get it in sooner, just in case the winter's going to be too hard for it. I have a few other beds here. I had some stuff planted in here, and the quail got in and ate it all, so it's empty. But I mean, I have walking onions. I always throw the walking onions in. Along here, you can see just how hard the frost hit in here. This is some of my zucchinis, nasturtiums, green beans, and you know, everything's died pretty well. I don't actually clean up the garden in the fall like a lot of people do. I leave everything on the ground to just kind of be in place for the winter. Gives a little bit of habitat for the bugs, and you know, the birds will come in, they'll eat any seeds that are on there, and then in the spring I usually do the cleanup. So all this dead stuff is probably just gonna stay in place. You know, maybe some of the tripping hazards near the paths might get ripped out, but you know, spring is usually when we do our main clean. Our leeks are looking really nice. I have to get these out. A few of them have flowered. I don't know if you can see that in there. Usually leeks are biennials, which means they would have flowered next year, but you know, things don't always go as planned. I also got some beans on here. The plan for these last few beans is that I'm going to leave them until they dry on the plant, and then I'll gather them for seeds for next year. So I still have lots of stuff to harvest out. You know, this bed has carrots and beets in it. Leah's peas, super exciting. Check this out. Little baby pea. So I'm hoping that I can get at least a couple for her to have off of here before the hard killing frosts and cold weather comes in, just because it's fun for her to be able to have planted this bed all by herself and to actually get a harvest off of it. Along here, this bed here is one of our main winter picking beds. The plant that I have in right here, this is a kale called winter boar, and it actually keeps really nicely for us in the garden. It will grow during warm spells in the winter, and even getting buried in snow isn't going to kill it and make it drop its leaves. So it's really hardy for our temperatures. And I specifically plant it in this bed so that we're close to the sidewalk and everything. We can come in without, you know, getting too mucky and pick up a salad in the middle of the winter. So I'm definitely glad that it's doing well with the cool temperatures. It started to really grow nicely. One of the harvests that I've been the most excited about in the last couple years has been the fruit harvest, and we're pretty much done on that right now. This is our grapevine here, and you can see the deer have definitely been getting into the backyard. I need to get a bit better about making sure I get that gate closed early in the evening now that it gets dark at like 6 o'clock. We still have a few grapes left on here. The birds have really gotten into here. There's less stuff for them to eat, so they've been going for it. But there are a few left that I'm going to pick off. I was hoping to make wine, but looks like just too much of it got lost to the birds. Another task that is on my list of things to do is over here is our espalier trees. And these really need a prune. You can't even really tell that they are espaliers with how badly pruned they are right now. So I need to do a little bit of research. I know that for the varieties, the fall is the best time to prune them, but it seems like the last couple of years I prune them and then they just go crazy for going leggy and just sprouting everywhere. So I need to work on my fruit tree pruning skills, because you definitely need to be pruning when you're talking about putting an orchard into a small urban yard. In here is our raspberries, and I'm surprised there actually is like a lot of green still on here. The raspberries too is another section that I don't clean until the spring. The dead canes, we grow a raspberry variety that fruits on the second year canes in the spring. So you need to leave 1-year-old canes to grow, and then you need to have your like 3rd year canes. They don't even flower or anything or bud or have any leaves. So those you need to make sure that you are cutting out of your patch just so it stays thinned out. And I do that in the spring. Lots of people do that in the fall, but you know, I don't know. I like just getting it all done in the spring. So, and they're easy to spot because they won't have any buds on them. So in the front here, this is my kiwi plant. I have a couple of them, but this is the only one that actually has any fruit on it this year. And one of the things that I really like about the kiwis is the fact that they produce fruit super late. Like I'm usually picking the fruit off of here in November, and then it still needs to ripen on the counter for a week or two. So this really extends our season, and you know, it's kind of interesting to get these hardy kiwis off. You know, there's only a couple on here. We had a really bad spring. They needed to get water and they just didn't. So a couple treats in there for later, but we're hoping they'll do better next year. And you can see the strawberries, they're starting to get their fall color, dying back. And this is something I'm super excited. I'm going to be harvesting some of this year. This is my horseradish, and it's a couple years old now, and there's definitely some big roots in there, so it's ready to get picked. I have a couple of them, but that one is the one that's really good to go. Okay, and then this is one of the things I really wanted to show you. This is my Jerusalem's artichoke patch, which is this weird, slightly sweet, starchy root vegetable. You know, it's almost like a potato if you refrigerated it and then it went sweet. And I don't love eating it because it's super farty. Like, you eat it and it gives you gas, but it's super hearty. This thing grows here and just goes crazy. I like have to just hack at it to try to keep it in order. But I will harvest a bit of this in the fall. So anytime now, it's ready. And I will take the branches out on this one just so I can clean it up because it grows so early. You know, like this thing will start growing in February. So I want to get the stuff out because basically as soon as the snow melts, it starts trying to grow again. But this I harvest a bit in the fall, and then through the winter, anytime the soil gets unfrozen, I can harvest it too. So this is like a really good crop if you need something that is super low labor and keeps really well. Like, it's a really interesting plant. And it's almost ready, so I'm excited to get in there and get doing some of that. And I haven't really been showing you guys my front yard, so I'll quickly show you a bit of that. My weirdo front yard. My walking onions, the local deer, are like the weirdest deer you've ever met. They love onions. So this bed's been nipped down a few times by the deer, so I haven't really gotten a harvest on it. And at this point, I think I'm probably gonna leave it till the spring, just because both of them, they're not really looking that great. A lot of my apricot tree and my hassops, all that kind of stuff, it's gotten really eaten by the deer. The deer have been really aggressive about getting into the leaves this fall. So everything up here is definitely looking ready for a long winter's nap. There's my fig. Excited about that. Still a couple fruit left on there. Front's looking like it is what it is. We're gonna be doing a big reno on the front next year. We're actually doing a renovation on our house, and we're gonna be losing a lot of this space in the front as well as our tree. So yeah, definitely some work to be done up here, but you know, low labor. It's all perennials up there. You can see there's still stuff going on in the garden. I'm glad that I got all the fall planting that I wanted in. You know, there's tons of food in there. It's hard to keep up with it this time of year. I always find this time of year a little bit depressing because I love all the summer garden stuff so much. Everyone loves fall, but I'm a summer girl. So you know, it's nice to come out here and see that there's still a lot going on in the garden. I will definitely be doing another update on the garden, another garden tour, when it is kind of fully into its dormant pre-winter phase. Give you an idea of what it looks like, of just how acceptable it is to have a super messy garden all winter, because it really doesn't matter. Yeah, so if you want to make sure to catch that, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys again. You want a tomato? Okay. Here's a big one. Hey, you got it? Oh, did you get it? Okay, here, look. Here, I have one. Did you get it?